serving. He says everybody can be great because anybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make a subject and verb degree to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love. Now there's somebody in our midst who has been going through a really difficult time the last several months. And there's been people out there who have just been moved by God to serve. And it was something that they just, I'm not sure they even knew why they were doing it, but they heard the voice, right? And they responded. And it makes a huge difference in somebody's life. I want to call Coach O'Brien to share what the difference is by having these people respond to their call, and what the difference it made for a film in those moments.
Good morning, everyone. All right, here we go. Sit up straight. Put both feet flat on the ground. I'm going to tell you a story today. Now, for some of you who may not be aware of my situation, maybe some of you younger, you who are younger, who are visiting today, I was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer. It's called melanoma. It's a form of skin cancer. It started on my head. I found something in last July. I've had 5 surgeries so far. I have had what's called immunotherapy. It's an IV therapy, a drug they rip into you to try to fight it. And I'm going to start radiation a week from Monday. And I'm ready to get on with the fight. But I can't deny that this entire process has been extremely, extremely difficult. Now, I am a person in my life who I have always tried to learn something from whatever situation I'm a part of. I've tried to figure out what I'm supposed to get from this situation. What am I supposed to take from this to make my life better in the long run? And I have to say, this may sound shocking to you, that getting cancer has been an amazing learning experience. It really has. Now there's times where I say, why do I have to learn this? This is a really harsh way to make me learn something. And there's minor things along the way. I haven't learned the big thing yet. I haven't figured out what the big thing is that I'm supposed to learn. I don't know that yet, and sometimes I'm frustrated because I'm not sure what that big thing is that I'm supposed to be learning. But I have learned many things. And one of the things that I have learned is that God works in mysterious ways. So Kahu and I have been talking a little bit about this chapel, and he sort of talked about people who suddenly are there to help. And you heard some descriptions of that this morning. Suddenly there was somebody there to help. I'm going to tell you my story that I still, to this day, cannot believe. I have no explanation for. God spoke to me 4 times. Okay, so I've been diagnosed with cancer, but I don't feel bad. I don't feel ill. I'm not sick. And I had to go to Queen's Hospital. I would have much rather been in that boardroom than in the other rooms I had to go into. So in the imaging department, I'm going to get a biopsy, an ultrasound biopsy on my neck where this is appearing. But I feel fine. I'm not sick, so I'm mad. I'm angry. Why am I here? And Queen's, again, I don't know if you've ever been to Queen's Hospital. There's a lot of sick people there. And I feel fit, and I feel healthy. And I'm like, why am I here? What's going on? This makes me mad that I'm here. Why am I here? So I was in the imaging department. I was going to get this done. I was waiting in line. And I spot something off to my right. It was a moment where I was feeling sorry for myself. Okay? We all clear with this? And I spot something over here to my right. And down the hallway comes 2 EMTs. A young guy, a young girl, in a big bed. And that's what catches me at first. And they come rolling by. And then I look at the bed. The bed is up like this, okay? Right, one of those types of beds. In the bed is a little 3-year-old girl. Now by this time, I'm up at the front. I've been in this place before. I know the woman behind the counter. I turn to her. She says to me, "Oh my God, it's so sad. A 3-year-old girl with cancer." That hit me like a ton of bricks. And there she was. And then they rolled the gurney right in front of me, literally. Closer than I am to people in the front row. It hit me like a ton of bricks. And I said, okay, Kevin, you don't have it that bad. Okay? Now, you would think that, a lot of you think I'm tough. Like I'm a tough guy. I'm going to tell you, I wish you would think that a 3-year-old girl with cancer would snap me out of it completely, but I'm not that tough. Okay? So that's one time, I swear to God, God sent this little girl right in front of me. The second time, it's right before I was going to leave all of you. Remember, I left all of you at the end of September, and I took my medical leave. I also have a second job. Some of you know this. I work at a restaurant on Front Street called Chemo's. That's my part-time job. I'm a weekend bartender. I love working at Chemo's. I worked there a long time, and I'm very proud of the fact that I work there. I love working there. So this one particular Sunday, right before I left all of you, I knew it was my last shift. And on that particular weekend, I was feeling sorry for myself again. And one of the weird things is that particular weekend, I was feeling sorry for myself about the scars I was going to have. And these scars were not going to be covered by clothing. These scars were going to be public scars, even though I'm covering with clothing right now. And so I was really uptight about this. Here, I'll show you one. You ready? So that's where the melanoma started. It was just a little mole, but they cut out that much to try to get it all. And then that's a skin graft from my thigh back up here. So that was 2 different surgeries right there. And I'm getting tired of wearing this hat. So you're about to get this full-time public. Okay? So, this weekend I was very tight about my scars. I have a bunch of scars on my neck. Okay, so I was uptight and angry, and I go to work and I do my setup. Okay, we open. There's a cruise ship off the coast of Lahaina, and everything's going fine. Okay, I'm doing my job. And then suddenly this couple walked in. They were obviously from the boat. A retired couple, man and woman. Okay, they come and they sit literally right at my bar, right in front of me. Okay. Now, you know when you're worried about scars, you're worried about everybody looking at you, right? This gentleman who sat in front of me had Hansen's disease. You're all familiar with Hansen's disease because you know the story of Father Damien? He had leprosy. He had those little Christmas tree type bumps. Okay? They're not round bumps, they're sort of like pointy bumps. All over the skin that is showing, his entire head and face, his arms, he's wearing shorts, his neck, obviously his entire body had these bumps all over. And he sat right in front of me. His wife didn't have it, just he had it. He ordered a beer, and they were an appetizer. You know, I started talking to him. He's like, oh yeah, we're from London, and this has been a lifelong goal of ours to come to Hawaii. I mean, everybody's looking at the guy. It's one of those situations, you can't help but look at a guy like that, right? I mean, we're all human. You see something like that, you take a look. He's sitting right in front of me, I had no choice but to look. And again, it hit me like a ton of bricks. What am I doing complaining about scars? This man has a disease that's all over him. But you understand what I'm getting at? Okay? Now, you all think that I'm strong. You think that I'm tough and strong, right? Oh, Mr. O'Brien, he's tough and strong. We can rely on him. You would think that those 2 situations would snap me out of it. Well, guess what? They didn't. Okay, so at the end of September, I had my first surgery where they took this big disc out. They took all the lymph nodes out of my neck. I had a big, huge scar. It was a 5-hour surgery. And I was pretty beat up. But I will say, I spent one night in the hospital, and I was walking the hallways of the Alawana Hotel the day after the surgery trying to get through shape. I did do that. Anyway, so I had to have skin graft surgery. So at the end of a week there after the first surgery, I go to see the skin graft doctor. Okay? And the skin graft doctor is right by Queens. He's in one of the buildings right by Queens. And so my wife is with me. And so we go upstairs. This is still, we're at the Alawana Hotel. This is number 3. And so the second day, I said, okay, I'm gonna go walk on the treadmill because I gotta do something. I can't sit still. So I gotta go do something. So I'm gonna go walk on the treadmill. I get down there and I'm just beat up. and I step up on the treadmill, and the treadmill faces out onto a patio. And as soon as I step up, I can see there's somebody outside, and I'm like, oh, God, I gotta watch somebody work out while I'm trying to walk up. I was irritated. I was feeling sorry for myself because I was sore and tired from the surgery. Okay, so all right, I get up on the treadmill and I start walking, and I have to look at this guy who's out there. Okay, so I'm 53 years old, and I have always taken great pride in trying to stay in fit and healthy shape. Okay? And I'm at the point right now where I'm like, I was feeling sorry for myself. After this situation, I'm never going to be healthy again. I'm never going to be fit again. Well, I get up on the treadmill and I start looking out there. There's a gentleman out there working out. He's probably 3 or 4 years older than me. He's not 60, but he's definitely older than me. He's killing it. He's doing push-ups, he's doing sit-ups, he's doing yoga, he's doing stretches. He's one of the fittest people I've ever seen, and he's obviously older than me. And that guy was right there, right at that particular moment when I was feeling sorry for myself. And I saw that guy, and I said, okay, anybody at any age can be fit. I actually spoke to that guy later on. I said, hey, I walked by him later on. I said, hey, dude, good job. You're an inspiration. Thank you. Now, you all think that I'm tough and strong, okay? You all think that I'm rock solid, and you would think that those 3 stories would be enough to shake me out of it, wouldn't you? Well, they weren't. And so God said, all right, Kevin, here comes your next one. Okay, so it's now a week after that, my first surgery, and I have to go to get the skin graft surgery set up. So I have to go see the skin graft surgery doctor, a plastic surgeon. And we go up to his office. I'm feeling a little better, okay? And he's kind of nonchalant. He goes, "Yeah, we'll cut some skin off of your thigh, and we'll do this, and we'll put it up there on your head, and we'll sew it up there, and this, that, and the other." And then sort of in passing, just like he's checking things off, he says, you'll have to spend it. He says, it'll only take an hour surgery, no big deal. But then in passing, he says, you'll have to spend 7 nights in the hospital, this, that, and the other, this, that. But I got stuck right there on 7 nights in the hospital. I'm like, what? I just had 5-hour surgery and spent 1 night. Now you're telling me it's an hour surgery, I spent 7 nights in the hospital? I mean, I thought that after the 5-hour thing, I was over the hump. I kind of felt, I'm certainly not over the hump. I certainly wasn't then, but I kind of thought I was over the hump then. And I was upset, I was bummed out, and I was really mad, and I was angry, and guess what? I was feeling sorry for myself. And so my wife was there, she witnessed the whole thing. We go downstairs, down to the street, and I may have used some foul language, I'm going to be honest with you. And we get down there, and before we get our ride to, we were going to go to the airport, before we got our ride to the airport, I had to sit down. I was so mad and so bummed out. We had to sit down, okay? And so we're just like, this is the sidewalk, that's the street. We're just sitting sort of right on a bench right by the sidewalk. And I'm flustered, and my wife's trying to calm me down. And something catches my eye off to the left. And it's something that's moving along the sidewalk over there. And I look at it, and it's like, it's really low to the ground. I'm like, what is that? And it catches my eye because it's different. Everybody else is walking. This thing's low to the ground, but it's obviously on the sidewalk. It looked like a surfer. Okay, somebody on a surfboard who's paddling out, right? They got their chest up and their head up. That's what it looked like at first. And that, as the person came closer, I realized that's exactly what it was. But the person wasn't paddling like that. There was some sort of mechanism, and I figured out it was a woman. It was a mechanism that she was using. It was like a motorcycle battery that had something to drive this thing with. It was a hoverboard. It was on wheels, but it was like a hoverboard, and she's laying on her belly. And I sort of look at it, and it's just plywood. I mean, it's like it was really nicely made, but it wasn't professionally made. And I realized the thing is only about maybe 3 feet long. It's maybe that long. It's not very big. And so she turns, and now she's coming down the main sidewalk, I swear to you, about this fast. And she comes right in front of us, right in front of my wife and I, about that fast. Do you want to know why the thing was only this long? She didn't have any legs. Her legs, both of her legs had been amputated at the hip. That's all she needed, was a 3-foot thing. And I swear to God, if my foot would have been like that, she would have run over my toes. I stood up and I said to my wife, okay, I'm done. I'm not going to feel sorry for myself anymore. Now, I have to admit that I do sometimes feel sorry for myself again. I have to admit this. I literally cry every day. Okay? This has not been easy. But I'm going to tell you something about those 4 people. I think about them every day. I think about those 4 people every day. And you know what? I love logic. Like, I like to figure things out the logical way. There must be a logical explanation. I cannot think of a logical explanation why those 4 people appeared in front of me at those 4 particular moments in my life. I love science. I love science. I think science, every aspect of science is cool. But I cannot think of a scientific explanation for why those 4 people appeared in front of me when they did. The only conclusion I can come to is that God sent those people to me at those particular moments when I needed them. I don't know any of their names, and I have to admit I feel a sense of guilt because 3 of the 4 are in worse situations than I am, and that makes me feel. It makes me feel kind of guilty that some others' misfortune makes me feel a little bit better. I feel kind of guilty about that. Does that make sense what I'm saying? But I think about those 4 people every day. And I ask you to pray for those 4 people for me every day. Those 4 people help me every day. I don't know who they are. I don't know their names. I don't know if they're happy in their lives. I don't know those things. But I thank God that He sent them to me. And I'm glad that I had my eyes up to see it. A lot of people have their eyes down. And let me finish with this story, if I may. God, who took a big risk of getting me up here. He should have known that I'm talking, right? I'll tell you another thing. Let me finish with this. One of the things I've learned, I have definitely learned this about since I've gotten cancer. There's a lot of good people out there. Now, I'm the world history teacher, and I've studied world history, and I know that evil has existed in the world. I know that evil exists in the world. And in our world today, it seems like we're all fractured and mad at each other and angry at each other, and it just, sometimes I get bummed out about it. But I have to tell you that some of the people that I've dealt with in the healthcare field, the doctors and the nurses, the people at Queens, the people here at the hospital, the Pacific Cancer Institute, sometimes people who just help me for like an hour or 2. These people are so kind, they are so giving, they are so professional, they are so caring, it blows me away. I'm going to tell you what, there's a lot of really, really great people out there. Okay? I've had people reach out to me. I've had friends that I haven't talked to, that I grew up with, that I haven't talked to in years, have reached out to me. I've had lots of my former students who I used to teach and coach at St. Anthony, alumni of that school, alumni of this school who've reached out to me. It makes me feel really good. And I want you to know there's a lot of really great people out there, and a ton of them are you all. You are all great people. Because many of you, as I commented at the beginning of this semester when I spoke to you briefly, many of you have reached out to me in various ways, including thoughts and prayers. And I'm grateful for that. I have somebody who is helping me out. He's helping my wife and I out. I don't even know the person. This person is 2 people. It's a couple. I don't even know these people, and they've decided to help me. And sometimes I struggle with that to understand I worthy of that? Am I deserving of that? And I struggle with those kinds of things as well. But my point of my story here at the end, and I appreciate you letting me speak all the way through, is that, believe me, there's a lot of great people in the world, and I've always been a believer in the goodness of people. Even though I understand there's evil out there, I've always been a believer in the goodness of people. And if this whole thing, in a weird way, while I've asked why, and I haven't figured out what my lesson is 100% yet, I have learned that there's great people out there everywhere. You've just got to believe that. It's really renewed, this has actually renewed my faith in humanity in a very, I have to admit, strange way. I thank you all. You know, I could stand up here for another 2 hours to tell you something. I have so many things I can tell you about. By the way, I'll just want to you want to know who the toughest person I know is? Speaking of my inability, I'm not actually very tough. Okay, here's the hint. The person who I think is the toughest person of all the freshmen and sophomores know this person. Who do you think I'm talking about as the toughest person? You all know her, all you freshmen and sophomores. Mrs. O'Brien, that is exactly right. Right? You all know that's true, don't you? So the backstory is that my wife was a long-term sub here and taught them all. She had literally every kid in the middle school a couple of semesters ago. You all knew it, didn't you? I still need your thoughts and prayers. I'm going to miss some time at the end of February for treatments. I told you before, I feel your thoughts and prayers. I feel it. I still need them. I love you all, and I'm very grateful for you all. Thank you.
You just have to be able to hear, right? Shamar, okay.